With a million podcasts out there, we're grateful you chose Toilets to Titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but plan for gibberish or rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start 'em and sit 'em, keep 'em or quit 'em. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions? Just tell us.
Welcome back to Toilets and Titles. My name is Justin Stevens, and we're back with another episode of our flagship Tuesday night show. This is episode 255, week 13 preview, NFL preview. So, Mark, my man, how did this weekend treat you? We're pushing the fantasy playoffs. Oh, not so well this time, huh?
Well, Rams got crushed on Sunday night. That's what I was most concerned about.
Yeah. Yep. What's up, Duarte? Yeah, we got to see a little bit of the old Anthony Richardson, but he still played better than he was before. So at least I have a little bit of optimism out of the Colts game. So, but yeah, no, I guess rough weekend for our teams, but fantasy wise, I did pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of tearing it up in a lot of leagues this year, so I'm excited about that. I'm still alive in Scott Fishbowl too, just over 1,000. I'm just over 1,000th place, so I'm like pushing that cutoff range. I probably won't be around much longer, but to still be in it at this point is always good. So
Nice.
did you make Scott Fishbowl this year?
I was in Scott Fishbowl. I did not make the playoffs. I had a lot of injuries early that was pretty hard to overcome. I think I ended up missing the playoffs by like 100 points overall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I made a good chunk of a comeback towards the end, but it just wasn't enough.
And you were on sleeper with that, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, see, that's the difference. I had a lot of injuries as well. Rasheed Rice, I had the Puka injury. I had a lot of other injuries fall against me, but I was on my fantasy league, so I was able to pick up a bunch of kickers and get about 10 to 15 points a game from them. Got me in the playoffs.
That's smart.
Yep. On to round two. I'm right there with you, Pork. Like I said, I don't know how much longer I'll be there, but we're still riding for now. All right. So week 13, we do have some news. We're going to get to that in just a minute. A little bit of NFL related news, and then of course our injuries for the week. But first, guys, please go check us out at toiletstitles.com. We've got some articles. We've got some of the dynasty guys are working on their write-ups for next year's NFL draft. You can, of course, catch our episodes on there as well. Our Discord chat is free. You can reach out to me on Blue Sky or on the artist formerly known as X. I guess now it's called X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, I guess. But either way, that's at JustinFF_ or at Toilets and Titles. And of course, we got the other guys here at MT Simon and at Nate_Dirt19. But I can get you that invite to that Discord, which is absolutely free. But Jack, give us that like, give us that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you are hitting that bell as well. Ring that bell so that you get the notifications when we go live with all of our other shows. Most notably, I'd say the more consistent shows have been the Friday night the Friday night injury show, and then the Sunday morning start sit show. These injuries actually will play a lot into that start sit show on Sunday morning, obviously. So, Mark, let's jump into that. We're going to keep it out west there, out in that area where your team is, with the Las Vegas Raiders. They season-ending clavicle injury to Gardner Minshew, but they are expecting Aiden O'Connell to come back this week. So there was on a later part of the show docs here, we have a pickup of a waiver wire ad. And I had originally started typing in Desmond Ritter, and I thought, you know what, I better double check to check up on Aiden O'Connell. And sure enough, they're saying that Aiden O'Connell is on track to return this week and probably potentially start on Friday against the Chiefs. Do you think it's a smart move, or do you think you would ride with Ritter and see what he's got?
Ritter's garbage. So yes, it's the right move. He's absolutely trash. I think I talked about this on the Sunday morning show, but yeah, no. Rich wanted to see what they have in Ritter. We saw enough in Atlanta. It was plenty to see. I don't want to see any more of him. No, thank you.
Wow. So even worse than Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, I mean, if you're tanking for a draft pick, sure, put Ritter in there. But other than that, I would much rather go with Aiden O'Connell, 100%.
All right. Well, we kicked it off with the Raiders show. So with the Raiders comment here. So if Rich is watching, I'm sure he'll jump in the chat here. But yeah, that's interesting to me. I think I'm kind of thinking the opposite. Like, I want to see Ritter come out and play so that they really can see what they have in them with their system and with their coaches, with their players, and all that. Because I mean, a lot of people can look bad in Atlanta, like especially during that stretch that he was there. So
I want to say I remember him like rivaling Matt Schaub with pick sixes in Atlanta, if I remember correctly. It was pretty bad. Between him, I mean, he replaced Mariota, which Mariota was doing awful there, and then he was just so bad.
yeah. Well, Brian Robinson's the next one on the list out there in Washington. So he's got an ankle issue. This is one you're going to want to tune in Friday night for to get a more up to date word on this. But as of right now, it's looking like it's probably going to be a sprained ankle of some sorts. If it is, then there's a chance that maybe he misses some time. J.K. Dobbins. What?
I was just going to add to that, which is scary because didn't Eckler get a concussion at the end of that game as well? I'm pretty sure they threw him in as the punt returner at the end, or the kick returner at the very end of the game to see if he could do something. And he got lit up and was on the ground for quite a while. And I thought they said it was a concussion.
Very well could be. I've got Jeremy McNichols next man up. So and he has shown signs when he's had an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Jeremy McNichols has actually torn it up. But let me check on Eckler's status here. We have yep, he's in the protocol. All right. So Eckler's in the protocol. Let me check out something else here. And then we have Washington. Yeah, they play Sunday at 1:00. So they're playing Sunday at 1:00. I mean, sometimes they can try to, like, if they're not trying to play it safe or whatever, but yeah, you can't do that with a running back. I'm pretty sure that doesn't sound well then if it was at the end of the game. So we'll have to monitor it during practice. We'll have a better update on Friday, but sounds to me like McNichols might be a pickup to go after this weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Tonight on the waivers.
I guess I missed on Robinson's injury. Yeah, I would definitely be looking at McNichols.
J.K. Dobbins, there's concern for an LCL, possibly a meniscus issue. So if that's the case, he's very likely going to miss some time. Isaiah Pacheco, likely to return week 13. We talked about this one ad nauseum in weeks past, but I think you and I are both kind of under the same umbrella that he's going to come back and he's going to take some carries at first. Maybe he even takes on the starting spot again somewhat soon, but it's still going to be more of a split. Hunt's proven that he's effective. Then they have a tough schedule during our fantasy playoffs. We're probably not playing him during that stretch, him or Hunt, most likely, until we see what the tandem looks like. I mean, obviously, if we end up getting a Montgomery Gibbs look, then sure, but it's not going to be anything like that, especially in that offense when there's so many other mouths to feed and a quarterback that can actually feed them. Speaking of taking a knock on the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, likely a mild knee sprain, and but they are on a short week though. That's the concerning part there. If it's even just a mild knee sprain, being on a short week, there's a chance that he could miss. So be aware of that. That's going to have to be announced obviously before the Friday night injury show. So make sure you're checking with us on the Discord, and asking us if we have any updates, because we do pay for that doctor's subscription to get the updates as quickly as possible. So Josh Downs, AC sprain. This one might be a type 2 or 3, guys. So this is worse than most of the AC sprains that we have seen so far this season anyway. We've seen a lot of those type 1s where it's more of a pain tolerance. Type 2, type 3 usually amounts to some missed time. So far that has not been confirmed. This is just what we're getting from the fantasy doctors, or the fantasy expert doctors. So if it does wind up to be a type 2 or 3, then he is very likely going to miss some time. So keep that in mind for that Colts passing attack. Maybe fire up some Alec Pierce, because also Michael Pittman with another AC sprain. This one's a little less severe. I see him probably playing at least. And again, pain tolerance for him. See how it goes. And then Cedric Tillman and Romeo Dubs are both in the concussion protocol as well. So any others that I missed that stood out to you, or any of these that you want to brush up on?
Not really. I did want to say on the Pacheco thing, I am in the same camp as you. I think that they're both going to get usage, especially early on. As far as long term, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say Hunt has been efficient. He's been effective just because they're giving him 30 carries a game. But as far as efficiency, he really hasn't been that efficient. So I could see, like, towards the end of the season, if Pacheco just comes back and looks phenomenal, he could take the majority of that role. But I do think early on it's going to be a pretty heavy split.
Yeah. In his last 2 weeks, Hunt, his yards per carry has gone up, but he's also played 2 very ineffective defenses. But and they've got the Raiders this week. But after that, it just gets rough. The week 14, that's a lot of people's week 1 of their playoffs for the larger leagues, or it's the last week of your regular season. You're trying to get into the playoffs. They play the Chargers that week. That's a tough one. The Browns' defensive front's kind of hit or miss, but they can be very consistent when they want to be. And going up against Kareem Hunt, there's a chance they might play up a bit. Houston's got a decent defense there. Pittsburgh in the championship. If you have a crazy league, week 18, they've got Denver in week 18. So definitely not a plus schedule for the Chiefs' running attack at all by any means. Other news, we got Daniel Jones. He actually cleared waivers. That means nobody tried to claim him at all. That's mostly a financial thing. If he clears, then they can pay him less to sign him on as a free agent add-on. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. But it is also still notable to see that nobody cared enough about him to think that they wanted to blow a waiver priority spot on him. And then the Jets are not shutting down Aaron Rodgers. There was a lot of rumors of that earlier in the week and like late into the weekend about possibly Aaron Rodgers getting even cut at a certain point. I heard people say he was getting benched, he was getting cut. The teams come out, they said that they're still backing Rodgers. Rodgers is saying that if he does continue to play, he's hoping to still be with the Jets. So they're all saying all the right things. But, I mean, this could be a smoke and fire sort of thing. So who knows what's actually going to end up happening there, or if it even really matters.
Does anyone think the Jets actually make decisions anymore? I mean,
Right.
if Aaron Rodgers is being benched, it's because Aaron Rodgers is choosing to bench himself, not the other way around. Like,
Fair enough.
he is now the quarterback, the coach, the GM, and probably soon to be owner. So we'll see where that goes.
Patreon.com/toyless-titles. We got tier levels all up and down the board, starting at $3.99 a month, all the way up to I think it's like $25 a month. So there's all different types of tiers in there. Take advantage of that. Yeah, part of what is on there is that you can reach out to me anytime for some one-on-one roster analysis, or any of the other guys on the team. and we'll get you taken care of. But game of the week, because there are no teams on bye. We have a full slate. We have the holiday this week, so of course the NFL wants to take advantage of every second of ratings that they possibly can while people are off work and able to watch football. So that's just how they work. So there's no bye weeks. All the players have to work on the holiday weekend. But last week, I actually gained a little on you guys. For what it's worth, I'm still 50 points behind second place, but I chose the Ravens and the Chargers. I figured that brotherly game would be a close matchup, and luckily the Chargers got a late touchdown to make it as close as they did, but it was only a 7-point swing. I'm up to 170 points on the season after that 7 points. So this week I decided to I'm sticking with the Ravens. They have an even tougher matchup this week, so I think it could potentially be an even closer game. And of course, it's a battle of one of the NFC best versus one of the AFC best with the Eagles and the Ravens at 4:30. That game is going to be at Baltimore, and it's going to be a fun game to watch. A lot of fantasy implications in that one, and like I said, a lot of people's last week to utilize that Ravens offense before they go on bye in Week 14 as well. So, let's see, Mark, what do you got?
So my game of the week, I have the Cardinals versus the Vikings. I think it's a pretty big game in the NFC. It's got a lot of playoff implications. I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it, but I did see a meme that was pretty funny about the Vikings and the Detroit Lions. It had a picture of two golfers. I forget who the first golfer was, but it was the second golfer was John Daly in all his funky clothes. And the first golfer said the Detroit Lions having the best team they've ever had in their whole tenure. And then the Vikings trotting out, messing around with Sam Darnold, still with an 8-2 record.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah. But no, I think that game's going to be very close. I think it should be fun to watch. It should be pretty high scoring, I think.
Last week Nate proved to us that he actually is human in this matchup, this little game we play, and he did take a little bit of a hit. Still not a huge one, but he went with the Eagles at the Rams. That wound up being a 17-point swing. He's still in first place with 101 points. You're 20 behind him at 121. And this week he went with the other game I was in a toss-up with because I was debating between the Eagles and the Ravens in this game. It's a 1:00 game. The Steelers at Cincinnati. That game's always a good, hard-fought matchup. I just now read your notes on my upset of the week. It threw me off for a second. So I like that one, Nate. That's that, like I said, 100%. That's where I was going to go. But the upset of the week, the reason I got a little chuckle there is because my upset of the week is the Saints are 2.5 dogs to your Rams. So not necessarily that I think that they're going to win that game, but I just it's Alvin Kamara. They found something special in MVS. The Rams, that defense just can't stop anybody. It seems like if they're going to stop anybody, it would be Derek Carr. I can imagine. So I can definitely see the Rams winning this one. But if I had to choose an upset for this week, I'm going to go with that. And we're going to go with yours next because I like that one.
All right. So my upset of the week is definitely happening this week, and it's Michigan over Ohio State, baby. Let's go, Blue. Let's go. It should have been my game of the week, too. There's nothing like Michigan versus Ohio State week in college football. But as far as my actual upset of the week, I'm going Eagles +3 against Baltimore. They're 7 wins in a row. I make quite a bit sports betting against Lamar in big games, so I'm going to continue to do so.
Interesting. Well, that's scary for me, a guy that has Lamar everywhere. Nate went with the Jets, 1.5 point dogs to the Seahawks. So the Jets are at home in that one. So they're 1.5-point dogs at home with the Seahawks flying cross country. And the Jets, I mean, they do have spurts. They have moments where they look okay, and then they just run. They just don't have the talent to keep up with good teams. The Seahawks aren't necessarily a good team, so I could maybe see this one happening as well.
Yep.
All right, start 'em or sit 'em. So in this game, we take a quarterback that's currently ranked in the top 12, and this is a guy that we're going to sit. Same with the tight ends, top 12, we're going to sit them. A top 24 running back and wide receiver that we're going to sit. And then somebody outside of that top 12 quarterback, tight end, top 24, outside of the top 24 running back, wide receiver that we're going to start. So these are pretty much lower guys that we like, higher guys we don't like. Justin Herbert is the 14th ranked quarterback right now, and he's going up against the 7th worst defense in the league against quarterbacks, and that is Atlanta. Herbert has been playing pretty well against Herbert has been playing well and against the Falcons, and with no Dobbins potentially, as I'm just kind of assuming there's going to be no Dobbins, there is no reason to believe that he won't continue to play awesome. And he was your start of the week last week, and that worked out pretty decent, especially with that late touchdown at the end. That really helped. Jared Goff is my QB sit of the week. He's currently the QB9. He's going up against the second best defense in the league against quarterbacks in Chicago. Part of that is because teams play with the lead and they run the ball, which the Lions are more than capable of doing. So in 3 of the last 4 games, Goff has barely broken 10 fantasy points for you. The one last good game he did have within that 4-game period was Jacksonville. And also, he has not played against any defense that is better than the top 3rd in the league and actually played well against them all season long. So now he's also going to be potentially without Amon-Ra St. Brown on a short week here. So this is a kind of a recipe for disaster for me when it comes to Goff and even the rest of that passing game. I'm still not straying away or thinking that they're going to lose by any means, but for fantasy purposes, I'm dialing back the passing game and I'm firing up the running game. Running backs, stardom, I'm going with Tyrone Tracy. He's the number 31 running back currently, and he gets to play at Dallas, the 3rd worst team in the league against the run. All the Giants have left is their run game, and I know that it also sucks too, but it is going to be heavily utilized, and Tracy right now I've got Tracy cracked in my top 20 to just strictly by volume alone. Najee Harris is the 24th ranked running back. I'm sitting him against Chicago, the 8th best defense against run as well. Najee is pretty underwhelming, like just in general. Like everything about the guy is pretty underwhelming. He's nothing like super flashy or super big about him. He's never going to have a very high ceiling for you. So mix that with playing a tougher run defense, and I don't have super high expectations. See, wide receivers. I've got Alec Pierce as my starter, and I kind of alluded to it earlier when I said that Downs is going to potentially probably be out, and Pittman's playing hurt and playing on a pain tolerance level. So I like the usage in this game, and that could see this particular game also could see a whole lot of neutral game script, meaning a closer game where they're going to try to run pass pretty equally. Alec Pierce is already a target that Anthony Richardson really enjoys. That's why he's also only still the wide receiver 37. But with the extra volume, who knows, maybe he can actually hit them more. But New England is 24th versus wide receivers as well, so that helps as well. Sitting at wide receiver is DK Metcalf. So usually you get towards the bottom, that wide receiver 2 range, and you're sitting a guy like DK Metcalf, then there's a chance that you're just sliding him into your flex is kind of what we mean. But in this case, I really might even sit him just depending on who my other wide receiver options are. He's the 24th wide receiver, but they're going up against the best, highest ranked defense against wide receivers. Sauce Gardner and company will be heavily covering DK Metcalf, and this particular DK Metcalf this season has scored less than 10 PPR points in almost as many games as he's hit double digits. There's only been one more game of double digits than games that he's been less than 10 fantasy points. So the inconsistency, the better defense, flying cross country, like I mentioned earlier, like I can really see DK Metcalf laying a bust game down for a lot of fantasy rosters this week. Taysom Hill is the 13th ranked tight end, so I'm still able to use him. He's going against the Los Angeles Rams, who are mid against all positions that Taysom Hill plays, and they're also pretty mid against all other positions. So Taysom is definitely scoring a touchdown this week. I'm starting Taysom everywhere. As a matter of fact, I'm starting him over Dallas Goedert in a league that I need to win to make the playoffs. So that's how much I think of Taysom Hill. And then finally, my sit is Kyle Pitts. He's the 11th ranked tight end. He's going up against the Chargers. They are 12th against tight ends. It's Kyle Pitts. I don't need any other reason. I'm benching Kyle Pitts. Mark, any comments about my Taysom Hill?
Did you call my Rams mid? Are you trying to be like the cool kids or what? Mid?
Their whole defense is just mid, dude. Just mid. I work with sixth graders. What do you expect?
Oh God, they're corrupting you. All right, I'll jump into mine.
Hey, real quick. Yeah, the Tournament of Champions. I should mention that. Yeah, we are down to the playoffs. I looked at the bracket. It said I'm playing Rich in the playoffs of the Tournament of Champions. But then when I went to see my matchup, I'm not. And I thought he was in my division, but I could be wrong. But so maybe we're just playing out whoever has the high score, and then or Wicked's just going to update for us. But yeah, we do have the Tournament of Champions going. So for those of you that didn't know about that, it was just a huge tournament of a bunch of different 12-team leagues, and then the top 4 highest scoring teams from each of the divisions get to face in a big tournament, winner take all. So that's a lot of fun. It's been fun to navigate rosters knowing that all you need are points for rather than win losses. So that was,
I didn't know it was top 4 points overall until halfway through the season.
Yeah.
I was looking at strictly on a record basis, but yeah.
Yeah, so there were times where I would be setting my lineup and I'd be like, man, if I just play this guy, it's a safe floor. I'm probably going to get the win, but this guy could get me these big points. So I would go that route instead, and I would be risking the loss. So
that's definitely the way to play that. But
definitely a strategy.
Rich is probably glad I'm not in the Tournament of Championship playoffs because he just played me in the staff league, and another win for this guy.
We do play Cincinnati this week. What did I say? I was talking about Najee.
Did you say something?
Oh, shoot. I said Chicago. They play Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I want to see something. I'm probably just typed. Yeah, so Cincinnati is 8th against Riot. I just said the wrong team. Everything else about that I said. I know it. I knew it didn't make sense in my head. I was thinking about it. I was like, I know Chicago is not that good against the run, but so that makes sense. But no, everything I still said was about the same. Najee's still mid.
Jesus Christ. All right. So let's go into my players. Quarterback, I am starting Matthew Stafford. He's quarterback 19 for the Saints. Since getting everybody back on the offense, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, all them, outside of the game against Miami, where they were trying out different O-line combos because we just got 2 guys back from injury. Outside of that game, he's been quarterback 5, quarterback 13, quarterback 5, and quarterback 8. They're just continuing to chuck the rock all game. Kyron's definitely suffered from it. I expected them to go back to the run, but they're not. They're just going to continue to chuck the ball. So I think he's easy start this week against the Saints because we are beating the Saints. That's not happening. The quarterback I'm sitting is Bo Nix. He's quarterback 7 overall versus Cleveland. I expect this to be a pretty low scoring game. So I mean, Bo Nix, as much as I joke around on the show about Bo Nix, He has been a pretty solid starting quarterback, but out of the top 12, like he's the one I would start or sit if I had to sit one. Running backs, I'm starting Jonathan Taylor. He's currently running back 26. It's coming off a pretty bad game, but it was against Detroit, and it was in a game we expected them to be behind for the majority of the game and that they were going to be chucking the rock a lot. And I think just this week, we're going to see a much easier game against New England, and they're going to try to control the pace with the run. Sitting, I'm going to sit DeAndre Swift. He's currently running back 19. This should be a game that they're trailing to Detroit and need to throw the ball a lot. He's gonna need to get the majority of his production through the air, which he very well could. But I think it's going to be a tough day for Chicago against Detroit on Thanksgiving. Wide receiver, T. Higgins, currently wide receiver 38. This was the easiest pick of the whole. What's that?
Because he's outside of the top 24 as
Look,
usual, yeah.
Even your mic's trying to mute you there. It didn't do it all show, but as soon as you started talking about T. Higgins, it started doing it. But no, I was saying he had a monster game after coming back from injury, and now he had a bye week in between there to rest. So I think he's a set it and forget it. I'm sitting Jaden Reed, currently wide receiver 13. 2 games after the bye, he's had single-digit points in PPR scoring. Pretty bad. And Miami's been getting to the quarterback as of late, so I could see Love being in some trouble in this game. Tight end, I am starting Will Dissly. Tight end 15 versus Atlanta. Chargers don't have many options to throw the ball to, especially when Quentin Johnston's dropping as many passes as he did last night. But even with that being said, they're continuing to throw the rock. So I think he's a pretty safe play. Sitting, I didn't see you did this as well, but Kyle Pitts, and pretty much the same answer you gave. He's just way too inconsistent. If you have other options, it's worth considering.
Yep. Nope. Sounds good. See, hot waiver ads. You already know. As long as he stays behind under that 60% threshold, it's going to be Taysom Hill. Like I said, he's just too damn good this year and especially in those leagues where you have the dual designation. But with this coaching staff, they absolutely love him. They know how to use him. They're going to use him until he gets another bruised rib. So it's Taysom Hill for me. What do you got?
I had Gus Edwards. I put that J.K. Dobbins just got hurt. I didn't know how serious the injury was, but it sounds like it could be serious. And Gus was already involved while J.K. was healthy. So if he misses some time, you're definitely going to want some of Gus.
And then the weekly stream of the week. This is just for 1 week, not a guy that we're going to pick up and run with and keep, but just a stream for this week. And I've got the Kansas City kicker Spencer Schrader, 32.4% rostered right now. So he's available in a lot of leagues. But after being the hero in week 12 and providing the game-winning kick against the Panthers, he's shown that he's not that he won't shy away from the big moments. He also gets to face the Raiders, who have given up the 3rd most fantasy points to kickers. This is also a Raiders team that Harrison Butker got he hit 5 for 5 against them on the road back in week 8, earning him double digits from fantasy points. This week, the game is actually in Kansas City, and it's going to be cold, but it's going to be clear and very, very little wind. So the wind shouldn't be a factor there for this streaming kicker for you either. So do you happen to have a streamer that you're looking at for this week?
I mean, I really didn't have anybody. I was looking at Russell Wilson, but I didn't know if that's within the frame we're trying to go with. I do like him against Cincinnati this week. I think the reason I was saying that is because I think there's probably a lot of teams that already have him out there on their team by now. But if he falls into the category, I like Russell Wilson for this week against Cincinnati.
I'm also typing with Genesis about the Powers League, so I've got
Yeah, he's freaking out.
yeah, I don't blame him either. It's kind of a raw deal. All right, my favorite game this year has been the one and done eliminator, and not just because I'm usually in the lead each week. I've lost it a couple of times, and I've had to make some changes to jump back in there. This is one of those weeks where I've lost it, but judging by the start of Nate's roster, there's a chance that we could bounce back into this, Mark.
Yeah.
Because Nate is in the lead with 825.04. For those of you that don't know the one and done, all we do is we select one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, and one tight end each week. And then we cannot choose those players again for the rest of the season once we've chosen them. Um, so like for instance, last week, Nate selected Jared Goff, got him 10.76. He cannot use Jared Goff the rest of the week. This week he's going with Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson faces the Bengals in that close tight game. The Bengals secondary is not that great. There is potential for some points there. He also went with Jahmyr Gibbs last week. That was obviously a great start. That was part of why he got his lead at 24.9 points. He's starting Kyron Williams this week. What do you think Kyron's output for this week will look like?
I don't think the Saints are that good against the run. But I mean, like I just said, Stafford's throwing the ball a lot more than normal. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's depends if he gets the touchdown or not.
Fair enough. And he was racking up the touchdowns early on, but now they're going more to the air. And I don't blame him when you have that kind of arsenal in your passing game. He went with Justin Jefferson last week. That almost laid him a goose egg for most of the game there. I was going up against Justin Jefferson in a few leagues. I just got really lucky that this was his one bad game. 4.7 points. He's starting A.J. Brown this week. A.J. Brown is he's going up against the Ravens. We know how weak that secondary is and how they can be exploited. Probably going to be a big game for A.J. Brown. Then he went with Brock Bowers for this week at tight end for up against the Chiefs. Kind of surprised this late that he still has Brock Bowers. I went back and took a double check on that, but he has not used Brock Bowers. Last week he used Jonnu Smith and got 23.7. So between Jonnu and Gibbs, that's where he definitely took the lead back over myself. I'm still in second with 799.68. I went with Justin Herbert last week, 17.62. So I took your start advice from last week and started Justin Herbert. I went with Kareem Hunt at running back at 11.7, 12.2 for Amon-Ra, and then he got hurt. So I'm noticing that you have not taken Amon-Ra yet. So maybe there's a chance he stays out a little bit longer, misses some of these easy matchups they got going on. You got to start him when he's got a tough matchup. And then I went with Travis Kelce last week at tight end. He got me 12.2. So this week, it kind of seems like maybe I'm chasing points because I've got some players that scored really well last week that I'm coming back to this week, but it's mostly because of the matchups. But CJ Stroud gets Jacksonville this week. Yeah, I know he didn't have a huge week last week, but I see a bounce back for him this week. Chuba Hubbard against the Buccaneers. If you can start anybody against the Buccaneers, do it. So Chuba Hubbard, I'm not that concerned about Jonathan Brooks. We talked about that last week, and Brooks, you saw what he did. He didn't do much, hardly got the ball at all. I think he's just going to be a true backup, especially after they paid Hubbard the way they did. They still might get him a few more carries just to see what he's got, just to see what they can play with later. But, I mean, for now, Chuba's their guy. I'm going with Puka. He's going up against New Orleans. That's a great matchup for him. I'm hoping for another 20-point game. Also hoping for another 20-point game from Jonnu, even though I'll be more realistic on that one and say I'm hoping for a 10-point game. But he's going up against Green Bay. So I'm pretty happy with this lineup considering we're this late into the season. So Mark, what do you got left down there?
So I was just gonna say you don't like Nate's lineup this week. I love Nate's lineup. I'm worried about him extending his lead.
Oh no, I was mostly just making fun of Russ Wilson when I first started saying it, but
Um,
the rest of it, great. Yeah, I like it.
well, you'll get to laugh a little more because I don't know if you caught me laughing when you were doing your start and sit. It's because your sit at quarterback of the week is who I'm starting in my one and done. I'm starting Jared Goff
Ah,
this week.
there you go. I love
Other
it.
than it just being a feeling that Thanksgiving Day at home versus Chicago. I know Chicago's been good, but I don't know, just a feeling. And you also got to remember we've used 11, 12 quarterbacks already this year that we can't use anymore. So I'm going with Jared Goff. Last week I had Bo Nix. He had 23.42 points. Pretty solid per week. It was the best out of the three of us for quarterbacks. But then Kenneth Walker, I only got 13.3 points last week. You had Kareem Hunt, which was right around me at 11.7, but then Nate had a big advantage there. This week, I'm going Tyrone Tracy. I think he was your start of the week at running back, right? Yeah. At wide receiver last week, I had Puka Nakua, 20 points, pretty solid. I'm going with Nico Collins this week. Last week was awful at tight end. I told you I waited too long on K. Dotton and it was going to show, and it sure did. He had 4 points last week. Ugly. I'm trying to steal some of the late success of Jonnu Smith this week, which will probably end badly. You never chase points. It always works out bad, but don't have many options at tight end, so that's where I'm
Yeah,
going.
I'm pulling for your Nico pick there, man. I got Nico everywhere, and then of course I've got CJ Stroud in this game. So let's go,
Mhm.
Nico. All right, the TD parlay. This is for you. This is try to win you money, but for every single week up until last week, I did not guess a guy that actually scored a touchdown. I kept getting it wrong. So I changed up my strategy. I decided to choose a guy that was going up against my Colts because then that would force them to not score a touchdown because that's what my luck had been like. Turns out all that did was just piss off the betting gods, and they let Montgomery score a touchdown against my Colts. So David Montgomery broke the schneid. Okay. So now I finally picked a player that scored a touchdown. So no more curses, broke the schneid. I'm not going back into that well again because I don't want the player to start scoring touchdowns on my Colts again. So I'm going with the guy that I've already said twice tonight. He's going to score a touchdown. I don't care who he's playing. Doesn't matter. It's Taysom Hill. So there is my TD part. Now, you as a Rams fan, you can choose to actually bet it or not. Mark, I'll leave that up to you. But Taysom scoring a touchdown on your Rams, my man.
I do not bet against my own team. But, my touchdown pick should be pretty easy, I think. JT scoring a touchdown against the Patriots this week.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. Nate went with Jaden Reed. So now we have a Colts player on the list. We got a Packers player on the list, and we have an entire Rams defense technically on the list. So there's that. All right, guys. Again, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check us out on the Discord. Check us out over on Blue Sky. Again, that's at Toyless of Titles or at JustinFF_. You can also reach my man right here, Mark at MT Simon. Patreon.com/Toyless of Titles. Did I miss anything, my man?
Just the manifesto for this week. Humiliate OSU again, repeat every single year.
All right.
Not gonna get us kicked off of YouTube by saying what I want to say about the Buckeyes. Let's go Blue.
On that note, you all have a great week 13. Enjoy your family time this week with the holidays, but we'll catch you later.